Sourcer versus recruiter. What's the difference? Which is better? Which pays more? And what are the skills required? That's what I'm going to cover in this video. I'm Amri Celeste, an interview coach and HR recruitment specialist with over 11 years hiring experience. On this channel, I cover recruitment interview questions and answers, jobs in recruitment and HR, and tough interview questions and answers in general. If you haven't already, do like, subscribe, and tap the notification bell so you never miss a video. The easiest and clearest way to answer the first question, what's the difference between a sourcer and a recruiter, is a clear definition of both jobs. So what is a sourcer? A sourcer searches for and identifies the best candidates for a variety of jobs using multiple methods, avenues, and strategies. Sourcing is sometimes referred to as headhunting or talent acquisition. These are not all the same, but nowadays terms are used interchangeably, so they can end up having the same meaning. So just for the purposes of simplicity, I might refer to them as the same. The main difference is that headhunting or talent acquisition techniques normally involve candidate contact. So what that means is you contact the candidate, develop and build that candidate relationship, whereas a resourcer or a sourcer's role may not involve contacting candidates. You may just be finding or sourcing them and then handing them over to a recruiter, manager, or HR contact. Or you might simply be building talent pools, also referred to as candidate pools. So candidate pooling is one of the many sourcing techniques, and you as the sourcer would search for candidates normally with difficult to find skill sets and add them to a group or pot so that when that role becomes available next time, you or the recruiter would already have a group of candidates with those skills that you can contact. I'll cover all the sourcing techniques and the sourcing process in another recruitment interview questions and answers video. And I'll link that video below in the description box when it's ready. So if you're going to interview for a sourcer or a standard recruiter role, you'll be asked about sourcing techniques 100%. So do check that video out to make sure that you have all the answers covered. What is a recruiter? Well, there are three main types of recruiter roles, and the working environments are different for each. So you have an internal recruiter, a recruitment consultant or agency recruiter, and an RPO recruiter. Now, if you're interested in a sourcer or recruiter role, it's quite important that you understand the difference between in-house recruitment, agency recruitment, and RPO recruitment, because they are all very different environments and different jobs with different requirements of both a recruiter and a sourcer. But essentially, a recruiter is responsible for identifying and attracting applications for open jobs. As an internal recruiter, you would be doing this for the company you are employed by. For an agency recruiter or recruitment consultant, this would be for a client or for a variety of companies. So the main difference for a recruiter as opposed to a sourcer is, as I mentioned before, you would have more candidate contact. So you would manage that process all the way through to the end. And if you were an internal recruiter, you may also be involved in HR duties as well, like onboarding and other tasks. And again, for a recruitment consultant, you would also manage more of that process as opposed to the sourcer. So it'd be all the way through to the end and then making sure that you maybe check in on that candidate in their first 3 months. So I clearly explain the difference between internal recruiters, recruitment consultants, RPO, and embedded recruiter in the first 5 minutes of this video. And I also cover internal recruiter interview questions and answers in the same video. So I cover the typical duties of a recruitment consultant or agency recruiter in this video. So a recruiter covers the full end-to-end recruitment lifecycle. So there are about 8 to 10 steps in total, and I'll cover that in full in my next video on recruitment process steps. So I'll link that just above here when it's ready, and also I'll pop that in the description box below this video. But essentially, a recruiter would cover everything from step 1 of the recruitment process, when the role is first approved and handed over to the recruitment team, to the final step where the candidate accepts, and sometimes the recruiter would also manage the candidate onboarding and induction, as I mentioned before, when they start the company. So if you're not sure which path you want to take, you can take a look at this Jobs in Recruitment and HR playlist to give you some clarity. I talk about what's involved in each job in the videos, as well as questions and answers, so you can pass those interviews. Which job pays more? Simply put, a recruiter's job pays more. It normally commands more experience and it covers much more involvement and management of the recruitment process. The reason I can't put an exact figure on either role is because they vary so wildly. So there are tons of different specialisms for recruiters, high volume, exec search, corporate functions, etc. So it could be anywhere from 20K up to 80K and above, depending on the skills required. The average is normally somewhere in the middle. So the highest paying recruiter position is normally an agency recruiter or recruitment consultant, because it generally requires more selling and business development, and it pays commission on top of a basic salary. So if you're thinking of going for this type of job, then you'll need to pass the interview. So you can check out that recruitment consultant interview questions and answers video that I mentioned earlier. Now back to salaries. So sourcer roles are normally more junior, more entry level, and therefore they pay less. But you can occasionally get a very high paid sourcer role when a sourcer is required for a very specialist industry, or for sourcing executive level roles like directors and C-suite roles, which are roles like CFO, CEO, CTO, and so on. What skills are required? For a sourcer, sometimes no skills at all. So the company or recruitment agency will offer full training with the view that the sourcer will then go on to become a recruiter. And sometimes previous sourcing experience may be required, or at least some exposure to recruitment, perhaps as a recruitment administrator or a recruitment coordinator. Now, if you're heading to interview for this role and you struggle with tough interview questions and answers, I highly recommend that you get your copy of this free guide covering the top 20 most common interview questions and answers. It's got 20 example answers to tough interview questions and interview tips for your job interview to boost your skills. It includes answers to difficult questions like how do you handle pressure at work and what is your weakness, along with a critical bonus question and what to ask at the end of your interview. So it's fully packed with advice. It's free and it's in the description box below this video, and you can get yours by clicking the link below. So thanks so much for watching. Like, subscribe, and tap the notification bell so you don't miss an upload, and I'll see you in the next video.